Hey everybody, happy Friday. We are well into October. I don't know about where you are, but here in Texas, that cool little treble breeze that says autumn is here. Well, it's hanging around a little bit longer in the morning. It's kind of hanging around till 11 a.m. And it's coming back a little earlier in the evening, more about like 5:30 p.m. Looking forward to a full day of coolness coming up. But in the meantime, are you ready for Halloween? My daughter is. Here's what we got this week. It's called Just Keep Learning. Last week I shared my thoughts and questions on AI in a lot of my conversations about it. Another question kept coming up, and it was, how can we prepare our kids for a future where human knowledge and skills can be satisfied by artificial intelligence? How should we teach them? How can they best learn? Well, I learned what I think is the best process for learning from my favorite teacher, which was my mom. Yep, my mom was a teacher for 39 years, and she was actually my teacher for a semester in kindergarten. She also substituted for me several times through high school. Now, what I loved about my mom's teaching was this. Look, after starting with the book or the text, the history and the mathematics of whatever it was we were studying, after learning the skill, and story from the text, she then always leaned hard and heavy into experiential learning. How do we take what we're learning here out of the classroom, kiddos? And she'd always ask, how do we take what we've learned in math and understand how the grid of the roadways through our city works? What lessons can we learn from reading a story, say like Huckleberry Finn, and how can we apply them and those to our lives? One time she was teaching me in my kindergarten class about how trains work. And as soon as she felt everyone somewhat understood how trains worked, my mom decided it was time for the class to take a field trip. Yep, she said, "Gang, we're going to Amtrak." She loaded us up on the bus, and we headed on over to the rail yard station. Yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Upon arrival, she said, "And kiddos, we are not just going to look at this train, we're going to ride it. Yep, we're going somewhere." Next thing I knew, the whole class boarded, and we were headed for Dallas. That was about 3 hours west of us. We got back home to Longview that night. It was well past dark, probably about 8:30 at night. There's a couple of cop cars, the principal, and a lot of concerned parents there waiting for us, but thankfully we were all safe and sound and had a pretty damn good time. We learned and remembered more about trains that day through the experience than any book could have ever taught us. Experience is what turns knowledge into wisdom. I've tried to continue this means of teaching throughout my life with the two classes that I teach at UT, film class and from script to screen, and the advertising class from script to screen. We are closing the book and showing the practical ways that films are made, that advertisements are made. What's the problem that a company's trying to solve in an ad? Who's the demographic that you're selling to, and how is it actually done from pre-production through production into post-production? I think it's a wonderful challenge for all teachers and mentors to give their students. How does what we're learning in the classroom, in theory, show up in our lives outside the classroom, or with our friends, coworkers, ourselves, in society? It helps with practical problem solving as well as critical thinking. And the question is, how do we make what we learn useful? How can we apply it to our lives? That's the great question. If we can't answer that, then what is the learning for? Yeah. How can what we learn be useful? How can we apply it in our lives? That's the great question that we need to keep asking. In the meantime and all times, till next week, just keep learning.